someday when I have kids, I really want to pass on to them all the lessons and life rules and wisdom that I've learned. But I know they won't listen to me, so my plan is that I'm going to trick them by slipping my own fortunes into our fortune cookies. And it will always be things that will be to my advantage, like never wake up mom when she's sleeping and always buy generic. But the thing is, science tells us that for every rule there's an exception, and I learned the exception to the always buy generic rule the hard way. Last year, I was finishing up requirements for my teaching degree, and to get out of taking a science class, because I'm really not a science person, I found out that I could take the state science exam, so I thought, great. So I chose, among all the topics, natural sciences. I thought that sounded the most gentle, and I went online to buy a study guide. So there was the official test company prep guide. It was like $75, and then there was this other guide by a random company. It was about $11. It had a cheerful yellow cover, so guess which one I bought? The $11 one. So as time came closer to the test, I was really busy with work and school and hadn't really gotten to studying. So the day before the test, I took off from work and I had all day to memorize 150 pages of science material that was very heavy and very dense and very serious. So I did, the natural thing that you would do when you have to memorize all of this information in an efficient manner. I spent the day drawing a 49-page comic book entitled Natural Science, a Musical Adventure in Cartoon Forms. It was a masterpiece. You should have seen it. There was Mr. Protein. He was a 1930s hobo, and Mr. and Mrs. Carb. And, it got spicy, too. The chloroplast and chlorophyll were friends with benefits in the plant life section. And, there were sad moments. There were sad moments. The island of misfit galaxies and, the dating profile of the ever-lonely, ever-single prokaryotic cell. But the real weeper was when there was a tragic breakup between the tectonic plates and then continental drift happened. So I was having a great time with this comic book. Every so often I'd get up and make more coffee, but all day I just was into this, and I was thinking I should go to medical school. Like, there's probably lots more stuff to do comics about. So, because I was enjoying myself so much, I only registered subconsciously that the study guide was a little bit like, there were a lot of typos and the grammar really was not so good and things were not in any logical order or fashion. And there was a section on the phases of the moon, but it didn't give any information about it. It said, you will need to know the phases of the moon on the exam. Please see www.wikipedia.org for more information. But I wanted to believe that this guide was good, so the next day I went to take the test, and of course I was running late, and I got in there with like a minute under the wire, and I was chit-chatting with this girl in the waiting room who had taken a lot of these state exams, and she said, why did you choose natural sciences? I said, I thought the title sounded gentle. She said, there's twice as much material on that as you need. You only need this many credits. That's for double the credits. You study twice as much stuff. I thought, well, it's okay. I got a good comic book out of it. So I went in to take the test, and my worst nightmare came true. All of this stuff that was on this test had not been in that study guide. This was all material that I was totally unfamiliar with, and I had put to memory a lot of stuff such as hydrogen atoms in the clouds singing, it's getting hot in here. That was not on the exam. I was trying to think of what I had learned, and I had learned about, there was Tim Gunn yelling at the white cells because it was after Labor Day, and I had learned there was something about Pluto being made fun of because he wasn't a planet anymore. But none of the stuff that I knew was on this test. So I'm panicking because my whole teaching degree, everything is on the line, and I've got to just get through this, so I guess my way through every question. I do abacababacabab, so you're not doing a, old high school trick. So finally, I go to get my scores printed out, and I can't even look, but you have to get a 50 out of 100 to pass, and I got a 52. So pure guesswork, I passed, and as I left, I felt sort of angry, but also sort of relieved, but angry at the study guide, and I went home and I let it have it. I threw it in the recycle bin, and I said, I hope that the recycling process is not gentle, and that every fiber of your being hurts when they pull out the pages, and they run you through a steamroller press, and that the guy running the steamroller press spills hot coffee on you, and you get third-degree burns, you sham of a study guide. I still have the comic book. I read it sometimes before I go to bed at night, and I hope to read it one day to my kids. And I'll tuck them in, and I'll tell them sweet dreams about Mr. Proton, and then I'll look at the wall where we have all the fortunes taped up, and I'll look at the comic book, and then I'll go to take down the fortune about always buy generic, but I think I'll leave it because some things, as science says, there's an exception to every rule, but I think you need to learn that on your own. Thank you.